Hey, here I am again. This is Christy Mattoon from Mind Rewire. Taz and I have been doing some gardening today, and I just wanted to show you something that I actually haven't checked out, so we're going to check it out together. One of the things I keep talking about is what do you do during the collapse? You know, if it really comes down to a place where there's nothing. I miss Tazzy. Where there's nothing to eat, right? If the grocery stores really do empty out and we end up in that space, what do you do? I want to show you a really easy crop that you can grow that's pretty hard to mess up. And I did an experiment, and you're looking at part of the experiment sitting here. It's kind of wilted. It is beautiful outside today. The sky is crazy, crazy blue. The sun is a little bit hazy, but it's not horrible. We are in springtime, so it's quite lovely out. And all the leaves, most of the leaves on these have wilted because we drug them outside. They've been inside for about 3 months. These are potted potatoes. Potted potatoes. You are looking at the green tops of a potato plant. And so what we did was we harvested our potatoes from last year, and I had some down in the dry storage that were just kind of left over, and we forgot about them. And of course they sprouted, and they had shoots that were up to, I want to say the longest ones were probably 16 inches long. It was hysterical to look at when we realized we had left them down there. And so we brought them up. We cut them into pieces and had a couple of different, pieces. We cut them in half basically, separating the sprouts because there was multiple sprouts on each one. And then we threw them into some dirt. I think I filled these pots probably about 3/4 of the way full. And then I put dirt on it. We let the potatoes come up a little bit. Once we started seeing them coming out of the dirt, I threw more dirt on top of that. They came up a little bit. I threw more dirt on top of that. They came up a little bit. I threw more dirt on top of that until we ended up with a full pot of dirt. And then we let the plants go ahead and grow. The green tops go ahead and grow and get crazy. Normally, if you do this outside in your garden, you would start harvesting when the green started turning yellow, right? So we have a little bit of dieback that occurred naturally, and some of the yellowing that's going on, right? So a little bit of it. I don't know if you can see that. Usually there's more yellowing than that. These buckets are relatively heavy. They are buckets. That one's super freaking heavy. Holy cow. Are full of dirt. And so my question is, what did our crop look like? Now the bucket I dragged down here is a little bit less full of dirt. I think I actually had ran out of dirt, but we are going to dump this puppy over and see what's inside, if anything. I don't have somewhere to prop my phone up, so I'm going to be doing this single-handed. Actually, let me set this down for a second. You can look at our beautiful sky. And I'll dump this out, and we'll see what's inside, if anything. All right. So here's the dumped over bucket, and I'm already not seeing what I had hoped for. Little tiny. So I would take this, right? I'll probably cut it off of here, and I'll go put this back in the dirt in the garden. You see the potatoes? So these needed more time. Very clearly need more time. Here's another one. Oh, there's one. There's one potato. So not what I was hoping for at all. Okay, I'm going to cover that back up with some of this dirt. So I'll probably let those other ones, the other potted ones, I'm going to let those stay outside. But we'll let them set a little bit longer to let them hopefully do their thing. I was honestly hoping there would be 20 or so potatoes in here. All right, so it just needs to go longer. We did have the starts, it just wasn't in there long enough. But the point is, you can actually grow potatoes inside in a pot, right? We would have had 6 or 7 right there off of that one root. So I have to let that go a little bit longer. One of the things I think I would encourage you to think about while we're going through this period of time is, how do you do things differently? How do you find a way to cope with the shortages or deal with the things that you can't get without, going too crazy, and be okay with it? That's Miss Kitty. Hey, Miss Kitty. It's all about rewiring your mind. A lot of times I talk about focus, and I'm going to do more getting back to that. I had a really great session this morning with my Sunday class, and we did a really cool coherent meditation where we had our hearts, our heads, and our guts all coherent, and then moved through some information that was given to one of my clients about a key to moving consciousness and jumping up consciousness. So we were playing with the idea, just like I'm playing with the bucket of dirt and potatoes, right? You have to experiment to see what happens. You have to experiment to see what you can do, because there doesn't seem to be any written rules, or if there are, we haven't gotten them, right? We haven't gotten our hands on a complete set yet as to how this works and what you can do. Moving yourself into the 5-dimension experience where it is just pure love and the higher level evaluation of emotions that we talk about, love and joy and peace, right? That higher evaluation where it's not so centered on the physical elements, where it's not so centered on your physical being, is kind of the goal, right? My goal is to be side by side next to Creator. I want to be in that energy of the Creator in a more consistent manner, in a more consistent way. And I think when you realize it's all about focus versus what you're doing or how you're doing it, it's all about how you keep your focus on something. Right? If you keep your focus in those higher places, you're going to elevate yourself into those higher places. But you have to do it even when crap is going on, right? So even when shit's falling apart around you, even when the potatoes didn't grow like you thought they were, right? Great experiment, but not totally failed. I just have to redo it, and we'll let those ones that are upstairs there go a little bit further. You just have to keep maintaining your stable place. And the better you can do that, the more versed and more practiced you are at doing that, I think the better chance of survival we will have. The better chance of survival mankind in general will have. Hi, Miss Tazzy. I also very, very strongly believe that as things get worse, depending on what dimension you are allowing yourself to be in, as things get worse, they're also getting better, right? It's the differences we're seeing, and it's your perception of those differences. And so you have to be able to maintain a state relative to the state that you want to be in, right? If I don't want to be in this state of doom and gloom where everything is being destroyed and, the food supply is dwindling, which it is, right? Things are falling apart. They have to fall apart in order to get better, for sure. We can't keep allowing humanity to be forced into oppression by the globalists that are running the world. So things have to change, but they can change in an easier manner than probably a lot of people are going to let them change, just because you hold a different look at it. You have a different perception of it. I think that's the key to it. And you have to maintain a state relative to the perception that you're trying to have. Does that make any sense? I hope so. So move yourself into a higher state, right? Get into your heart space and let it open up. Start with the feeling of gratitude. I'll try and post the meditation from the class this morning. It was quite lovely. And people had very, very positive experiences doing this. And the goal is to maintain it. right? One of the things that came out, one of my celestial beings, my angel team was telling me during the meditation that if you remain in the meat suit form, meaning matter, right? If I allow the matter of my meat suit to be who I am, I'm never going to reach higher states of being, higher states of consciousness, or higher evaluations through 3D, 4D, 5D kind of idea. You won't get there because the meat suit is too much matter, right? It's too heavy. It won't lift off. You're not going to move it. When you do the work and you get into these spaces where the body feels lighter and floatier, right? There's scientific evidence that suggests the DNA actually unwinds and opens. And what it creates, what people express it creates, is they feel lighter. They feel floaty, right? They don't feel as heavy. They're not as weighted down, which is what the meat suit feels like. It's this weighted down version of you, right? And it's usually in lower vibrational emotions, right? The neuropeptides that create those emotions are saturating the physical body. And so it can be hard to get out of. But when you get out of it and you start training yourself into this higher state, and you keep yourself in this higher state, this higher functioning state, the meat suit is no longer a meat suit. What they said was the meat suit is now a space suit. The meat suit is now light enough. Hey, sweet babies. The meat suit is now light enough that allows you to move through space and time, right? It allows you to travel, astral travel, whatever you want to call it. So be aware of that. If you're feeling heavy, your meat suit, right? You've allowed too much matter. You've allowed the weight of the world. You've allowed, right, the DNA basically to twist and get super heavy. Change your perception by changing the way you feel. It all goes hand in hand in hand. And then try and maintain that new feeling. The only way you can maintain it is to keep your focus on it, keep your awareness on it. And then you'll find change pretty much every area of your life. It's very interesting. All right, I'm out. We'll try again on the potatoes here in probably another month. I'll dump another bucket. Blessings to you all.